Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of The Bezel and the Big Picture. I am your host, Scott Byrne, and I am really excited about today's episode because I have a very special treat for you. A friend of mine, Rob Wrightson, who some of you may know if you are into blackjack, because Rob is in the Hall of Fame for blackjack and is a brilliant mathematician. And he was kind enough to drop off a IWC Big Pilot 5002, and it is a really gorgeous watch, and I'm so excited to talk about that and pair it with the movie that just felt absolutely perfect, which is Dunkirk. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about the brand and what made them so interesting and how they've produced some really memorable and incredible watches. IWC, which stands for International Watch Company, was started in Switzerland in Schaffhausen in 1868. And what's really interesting about this is it was started by an American, and they combined American production techniques with Swiss precision. But what's also really interesting is rather than creating this in Geneva, which is where most of the premier watchmakers were at the time, they chose this area.
The watches they made had the precision and elegance, but they had a hint of the brashness and confidence that would later become fully evident in 1936 when they made their pilot's watch, which I believe was known, and forgive me if I butcher this, as the Fliegerin. And this caught the attention of the Luftwaffe, who had them design what became known as the Biobach Tunzler. And again, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, but I believe it was, and I really like saying this, the Biobach Tunzler. And this watch was massive. It was 55 millimeter case, and it was designed so that pilots could see it on virtually any circumstance, and also was really well designed so that it fit on the outside of their gloves. Now, this became the foundation for the IWC Big Pilot, which came out, I believe, in 2002. And all that being said, let's dive in and take a look. So this is the IWC Big Pilot 5002, and as you can see, it's gorgeous and is incredibly cool. It has a brashness, and it certainly calls attention to itself, but not in a way that some other luxury watches do. I think what really makes this particular one stand out as something very appealing is you're meant to be outdoors doing things with this. You're meant to be chopping wood or flying a Spitfire or doing something that requires that you use your hands. And this watch helps you do whatever it is that you're doing. And there's something really appealing about that. As you can tell, it has the Arabic number system going around. And over here, it just happens to be a 6, but this is where the date window is. And over here, the watch has a 7-day power reserve, which is incredible. And the power reserve indicator is right here that tells you how much time is left in the mainspring. Now, one of the things that I really, really love about this is over here, you'll notice this triangle, which was on the beers, if that's how it is pronounced. And it really is distinct and just adds to that presence of the watch. But what especially does is the crown. Now, the crown is truly, truly massive. It's an onion shape, and it's meant to be like this so that when you were wearing your gloves, as I am now, you could turn it and just be able to wind the watch or set it or whatever it may be in whatever manner you need it.
The case, which is the part from here to here, is 46.2 millimeters. The lug-to-lug, which goes from here to here, is 56 millimeters, and the lug width is 22 millimeters from there to there. The thickness on it is 15.8 millimeters thick. So it is a pretty thick and meaty watch, and one that I would almost certainly bang into doors the more I wore it.
There is a soft inner case which creates an anti-magnetism, and this was particularly useful for pilots so that if they were flying through a zone where there was a magnetic field, it would not destroy the inner mechanisms of the watch.
Okay, I've put it on, and there is something pretty cool about putting on a $10,000 watch. Let's take a look and see what you guys think. So, this is it. It is certainly a presence on my wrist. It is very cool looking. There's a lot that I really like about it. Like, I love the black dial. I think the way they handle the Arabic numbers and the layout is incredibly cool. The loom is really nice on it. The power reserve over here, again, pretty appealing. Certainly an incredible thing to have a 7-day power reserve. That's just incredible, and hats off to the IWC Caliber 5011 movement that they created for this. They really knocked that out of the park. If I'm being honest, it is probably a little too big for my wrist. It calls too much attention to itself, and I feel like a great watch should accentuate the look of the person and add to it rather than being the thing that people focus on. And I think in my case, certainly not in everyone's case, in my case, it would be a little too big. With all that being said, if you have a wider wrist, this would probably look absolutely amazing. So now let's talk about the synergy between Dunkirk and the IWC Big Pilot 5002, because these two actually really blend, in my mind, perfectly together, and I really would love to hear what you think about it too. Now, for those who may not be familiar with the story of Dunkirk, there were thousands upon thousands of British soldiers and French soldiers that were trapped on the beach. The Germans were closing in on them. There was nowhere for them to go. The British ships that would have been in a position to rescue them couldn't get close enough to the shore, and German bombers were coming in repeatedly and just picking them off. It was a horrible situation, and it was just going to be a question of how many thousands of lives were going to be lost because they could not figure out a way to rescue these people. And what the British people did, just regular civilians, was those who had boats got in their sailboats and little fishing boats and whatever it may be and mounted this incredible rescue to get these people off the beach. And it is both a deeply riveting film and sometimes a challenging film to get through because it is so emotionally gripping, but it is so uplifting and a story of triumph and the will of the human spirit. And it is, like I said, just an unforgettable movie. Truly one of the best that I've ever seen. So I certainly urge you to see it. And one of the reasons that this watch in particular stands out to me, not that it was shown in this movie, it was actually a Omega 2129, and this is the watch that Tom Hardy, who is a pilot in a Spitfire, wears. And time plays a big part in it because time is ticking down very fast for these people on the beach, and if they don't get off, they're all going to die. And one of the things that this movie does really well, and again, coming back to this, is that it's all about the battles that take place in the land, in the air, and in the water. And it brings all of these elements together and captures these different stories and weaves them in a truly flawless way.
So when I think about what ties the watch to the movie, it's not just about the truly unbelievable air battles that take place that Tom Hardy is a part of, although they are spectacular, but it's about this concept of precision and clarity and survival, and how this watch is not about being ornamental, but it's about being an instrument, that it is one of the devices that helps you survive in the most dire of circumstances. And I think for the movie itself, that is the embodiment of everything that goes on. It's just incredible. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a wonderful movie. Even if you don't like war movies, go see it because it is just a true study of humanity, and it's so sparse in its dialogue, and there is nothing in that movie that is not essential to the story. Everything about it just weaves these different elements together in a way that is wonderful. So again, a great movie, a really incredible watch. Thanks again to my friend Rob. And thanks for enjoying another episode of The Bezel and the Big Picture. Enjoy your time and make every day cinematic. Take care.